So today we are going to do static keyword. We're going to see the free uses of static keyword. So now for first use is when we're using static keyword with variable. So why do we use it with static as a static variable? It's because we can call the variable, we can access a variable without any instance, without any object reference. That is, when we're using a static variable, it's not necessary to create an object to access its data. So first thing you need to know is when a member of a class is declared as static, it can be accessed before the objects of its class are created and without any object reference. It's created at class level only. All the instances of a class can share the same static variable, and it is essentially a global variable. Now just check this program. This program here, it's to count the number. My static variable, what's going to do? Every time an object is created, it's going to increment. All right, so this here, the count, is static variable. All right, so here it's a constructor. Every time an object is going to create, it's going to come in this constructor. What the constructor will do, it's going to increment the count, the static variable. And once all the objects have been created, now here outside here, I'm going to display number of objects created. Use one static is what? It's the class name because this variable, it's in this class. So I'm going to use the class name dot, then the variable, which is static, which I'm accessing here. So here it's going to display the number of objects. Now let's go to my command prompt. Use one static demo it is. So Java C use one static demo dot Java. Java use one static demo. So here it's going to display the number of objects. So we have 3 objects created here. So that's why it's going to display 3 objects has been created. So what you see here, it is related to the class. So we don't need any object for it to work. It can be accessed directly. But in this case, we are counting the number of objects that have been created. So since we have 3 objects that have been created here, so it's going to access the static variable here to count the number of objects. All right, now next slide. Static methods access to other static methods only. The best example of static method is the main method. We can call static methods only. We can access static data and change its value. So here we have static int k is equal to 20. So this k is a static variable. Here in front of this method void add, I've put here static keyword. So which means this void add method, this function is static. So here what happens, I times k, so since it's in the static method, so it's okay, I times k is going to store in I, then give me the product. How do I call it? I don't need to create an object. I just call it use to static dot add function. So it's going to display it. Use to static Java C use to static demo dot Java. I think there is something missing here. Let me open it. The Java all files here. Here's we go. Remove because the static keyword is not here. So you see, you cannot access. If it is not static, it's not going to accept it. It has to be static. The variable has to be static when we're using it. Use to static demo dot java. It's okay. Use to static demo. All right. So here we have a static method. It can only work with static variables. All right. And here when it's going to multiply, it stores it in I. Then here it gets the value. So this means that when we have a function name, we have static in front of it. It's a static method. We don't need again to access it through an object. We might not create an object to access it. It's going to be executed. Next is good. And the best example of a static method is the main method. Public static void main function is the best example. Why the main function has the static keyword there? Because it has to execute first. All these static variables methods are executed first. Then the other methods will be executed. So that's why main function has the static keyword in front of it. Here we've just seen it. When we don't have a static keyword here, it gives an error. Why? Because static methods can only work with static variables. They cannot work with non-static variable. In case go to 20 in I15 static block initialize. Here a method. I have a method. Here I've put the main function within the same class, and static block use is going to be displayed. So what's going to happen here? It's going to run this static block. It's going to run all the static in this class first. So let's see. Use free static demo. Java C use free static demo dot java. Good. So the static method has been executed as well. Static block used here. And then we have static block initialized, which appeared first. Why it appeared first? Because it came first here. All the static keyword is accessed. Wherever it is static, it's going to execute this. Then it's going to execute this in the precedence that it appears. All right. So that's for static block. Static block gets executed at least once when the class is first loaded. So I just explained why the main function is static. This is so because it can be called prior to any object creation, that is the Java virtual machine to call it directly. Static variable, the difference with non-static, it is accessed using class name. The other one, you need to access it via objects. You have to create instances of that class. Now, every time a variable is accessed through the instance of that class, through that object, it remains hidden in that object. That's why I prefer to use object than using static keyword. Static uses less memory. Non-static variables do not use less memory because they have to store everything within each object. It could be the same variable of a class being accessed by different object. Each object is going to keep that data hidden to it. Whereas static is going to save at only one location. Static variable can access both static and non-static methods. Non-static variables cannot be accessed by static methods. It is a global variable and therefore can be accessed by all methods. It is a local variable and accessed by the instance of the class. So that's it for the static keyword. I hope you've understood it clearly. Thank you.